All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo'S Wrestling Room. I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by Tony Gonzo'S. How's it going?
It's going good.
And we're also joined, like always, by Marcus Fine. How's it going, Marcus?
Doing well, doing well.
Dad, I'll let you go.
Okay, yeah.
So I can check the sound.
Real quick, we'll go over a few things that's happened this week with professional wrestling and WWE's been kind of par for the course. They're getting ready for WrestleMania. Had a real good show against SmackDown. Monday kind of sets up SmackDown, and SmackDown delivers, so it's been pretty good. Big show tonight on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be from the Boston Garden. It's sold out. John Cena's supposed to make his way there. Probably set up his WrestleMania, whatever he's going to be doing at WrestleMania. Logan Paul's going to be there, I believe, confront Seth Rollins. So should be a pretty good show. I'm sure they're going to keep that bloodline story. So I think it'll be a good show tonight. I'm going to kill me a dog here.
I was going to say, why is he squealing? Man,
Stop.
it's killing me. Real quick, evening, Billy. And Billy also said that that was a fun live wrestling show yesterday. Summit Pro put on a heck of a show yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, you can find it on our YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter pages at Gonzo Sports Room and at the All Sports All Plays Network. But I know Marcus was at that show as well, and they put on a great show yesterday, Marcus.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Kelly says hi.
I think I just seen her.
Imagine that.
Fines are the goats.
Yep.
Mr. Jake.
And hey, how's it going, Shane?
Shane? Hey, buddy.
Hey, Shane. And the next thing before we was going to talk some independent, what the shows that Marcus went to, and of course the show we both attended. We'll talk that too. The other thing I wanted to touch on real quick was the pay-per-view last night. I know Chris watched some of it. I watched probably 85, 90% of it. I missed the first match because we were at a wrestling show, and by the time I got in and wrestled up some food, I missed the Jericho match. I know Jericho put over Ricky Starks, which that was one thing about the show. There was 4 or 5 matches. I thought they put a young talent over, and I think that's definitely a right direction for AEW. And I've been hard on AEW at times, but the main event was fantastic. I thought the show was a good show. I would have probably, before that match, would have given it a C+ or B, but I'll probably give it a B+ now because that match might be match of the year right now for professional wrestling. It's right there.
Yeah, no, the last match was real good. I missed just maybe about 10 minutes of it, but I saw pretty much the whole match, and it was real good. And you know me, I'm not a real big AEW fan, but I've always been a big Bryan Danielson fan. And then I thought MJF, that was the best I've ever seen him look, just with facial expressions, his selling, just everything. I thought he looked great last night. And then some of the other matches I saw were pretty good. So from when I saw the pay-per-view, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, the main event was a 60-man Iron Man match, but it ended up going more like 68 or 70 minutes. And
Wow.
and I tell you, a lot of people say, this guy's the best in wrestling. This guy's the best. I think Bryan Danielson might prove again that he may be the best. He may be. He may be a little older. Maybe I don't think Scrappy agrees with my opinion, but he may be the best. I mean,
Scrappy, Pablo,
quick. His performance was fantastic. So Marcus, here, if you can find that match, I think you'd enjoy it. So you might check it out. And now we can move on to the weekend. Marcus, I know you went to a show Saturday night,
Right.
Jeffersonville. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
We were supposed to go to the Dub on Friday, but Kelly got back from taking the grandkids home and was soaked from head to toe. And with her health, we decided we better just stay home. So, we made it back down to the arena, second time this year. 5-star wrestling benefits show for a guy who got really bad injured.
Yeah.
In a factory incident. Full house. The card was outstanding. They had a Doorways to Hell match, which was the first thing I'd ever seen. They had like tons of doors and slamming each other, and then them doors, it was pretty good. And they had a good hardcore match between some hardcore icons really in Indiana, Brutal Ben Baker and Scrubby McGee. Very well done. Scarecrow was down there and took on a guy named the Collector of Faces, Jared Savage. He came from Washington State. This was his third time in Indiana. In fact, he's friends with my friend out in Washington, Jason Amos, the sign guy. And we're outside talking and realized that, hey, we have Jason Amos in common. So, show was really well done. They're putting on another show sometime in April. So, and then of course we was all at Summit Pro yesterday for an outstanding afternoon.
Oh man, that was a good show.
Yeah, real good show.
We're all trying to pick which was our favorites. I like the submission match between Sage Phillips and Jordan Dye, the Alice Crawley, Jeremy Hadley household match. Was rather comical, and then you guys can talk about Dale Patrick's.
Oh, the Dale Patrick match.
And the 90 Day Saints, Ace Perry.
They were so entertaining, and they were all over the place. And of course, Ace Perry is an excellent wrestler, and so is
Dale Patrick.
Dale Patrick's, but he's just crazy and do anything, whether it's comedy or death match. He'll do anything.
Well, that's what I really enjoyed about that match was they had the comedy, but also had hard hitting, and then also had some wrestling mixed in there as well. So I mean, it covered a lot of different things. It just wasn't.
Oh yeah,
it was. Yeah, I thought it was well put together. I enjoyed it.
I don't know if Chris agrees, but me and him have been to 5 shows this year so far. I got a lot more to go to, but so far that's the best show that at least to me, we've been to. I thought it was good. I didn't think there was 8 matches, and plus there was a pre-show match, and I didn't think there was a bad match on the show. Man, I thought it just delivered. It really did.
No, I agree. I think out of the 5 that we've been to so far, it's probably been the best.
But you guys didn't bring up the fact they about took out your announce table and fought in the cafeteria or the
concession stand.
I was worried twice when they got on that.
When he put them on that pallet jack, I thought for sure they were taking us out.
I told Kelly, I said, "Look at Tony; he's about to shit his pants over there."
They came at us again.
I grabbed the hold of the tripod just because I was like, "They're going to hit us. I'm going to keep the camera so it don't get broke."
They came at us again. I thought we was in trouble.
And then when Ace Perry came around. When he was yelling at Dale, he slapped the table. And I actually just got done watching the video, and you could see the camera jumped.
Well, I thought they were going to sever your cord too, because they drove right over your power cord.
Yeah,
so I thought, they're going offline here real quick. So
and then he went through the other side of the concession stand, eating popcorn. Yeah, I just got done rewatching that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But then the Crowley and Hadley main event was crazy as well, and it was.
Very well done.
It definitely didn't disappoint.
Yeah, that was
But yeah, it was a very good show, and
then we had a special guest sit down for commentary with us.
Yes, that was
Naptown Nightmare, Jawan Thomas.
We've seen that. If you look on the pictures, the picture you guys over there with him sitting there with you.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Okay,
he came out of nowhere, and and I noticed after he won his match earlier in the show. He was, acting like, hey, I'm wanting gold. He's making signals that he's wanting a belt around his waist. And I asked him about that, and he said, yeah, he definitely was interested. And so I think Alice may have a very tough competitor coming her way.
Yeah. And I thought his match with T.Y. Ice, at first I didn't think that was. I thought it was more nothing against T.Y. Ice, but they're not really in the same development in their career, but T.Y. brought it. I mean, I was very impressed at how well T.Y. held up to
John I was too.
So.
Yeah, he brought it, man. He brought it from the get-go.
Well, actually, I just got done watching that match too, and we actually brought that up at the end of the match about how good of a performance that Ice put on during that match.
What do you think of these Sharp
It was a heck of a show. I like him.
Yeah, I like the gimmick.
Yep.
Have you guys seen them anywhere else, or they part of Damian?
This is the only place I've seen them.
Could they be Damian Cole's freshly graduated? I mean, I don't either because we hadn't seen them anywhere else either. But I haven't seen them anywhere else either.
And every time we've seen them at Summit Pro, they've been impressive.
Well, Canyon's a newer guy that I hadn't seen before, and then the other guy, Faden. I mean, these are 3, 4 people that came
back. Faden's not new. He used to have a whole different. He used to be known as Glitch, and he used to come to the ring wearing like, swim goggles that were all lit up around it. He just totally reinvented himself. So
Okay.
He's been around a little while, but the iced tea lemonade fella, I don't remember seeing him anywhere else either. So
Yeah, I haven't seen him anywhere else, and I thought him and Dylan Cole put on a good match yesterday.
But you know what surprised me on that one? I don't think Dylan Cole and him are done fading, but he went and he attacked. Who did he end up attacking? He attacked somebody.
Miles.
Miles. Well, it didn't look like they were done with one feud before he started into another. So I was kind of confused there that he come out and attacked Miles when obviously Dylan Cole was not going to be done with him, especially the way he won. But
yeah, I wouldn't think so. But yeah, it was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. Before we go to our topic of the heels, one thing I did want to bring up, I hate to backtrack, but one thing in that match last night, in that Iron Man match, Daniel Bryan threw a forearm.
Oh yeah,
and he hit MJF, and he got a goose egg on his head. I mean, it was quarter size probably.
Yeah, because when he threw it, we both said, "Oh shit!" And then
and
a few minutes later, they had him he had MJF in the corner, and you saw a close up with the camera, and Shivani mentioned it as well on commentary. But he had a big goose egg on his forehead. It had to come from that forearm.
Yeah,
wow.
And they both bled during the match, and also there was a death match which had a lot of blood, and was pretty crazy with Moxley and Hangman.
Hangman.
A lot of blood in that. Would have meant more if Moxley didn't bleed every week. But that's just my opinion. People will disagree, but that's just my
dusty.
But you know, my argument. A lot of people say, well, they bled back. They bled, you know.
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s, they bled all the time. Not on TV. Not that much on TV.
No, but Dusty Rhodes, if you pick up any magazine in the 80s,
the magazines, the magazines 9 times out of 10 had blood. But like when you watched Georgia Championship Wrestling or NWA, they didn't show blood that much. So they didn't have it every week on TV.
Right.
And I think if you have it every week on TV, I think it takes away from it.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
Well, especially when the guy sits in the corner and pulls out a blade, and blade just does it right in front of everybody.
Yeah, I seen the blade again during that match again. Didn't see it during the Daniel Bryan match, which Billy Ray put up a good point today when they used that table. It should have been a disqualification in that submission match. And they didn't. They didn't call for a disqualification.
Well, there was a few times that referees were grabbing gear and doing. I was like, I don't know. They have referees do a lot of different things that referees shouldn't be doing.
Well, the one match, the referee was standing right there and hit a low blow, and that was on TV the night before. Just the low blow right in front of the referee, and no disqualification on that. So.
Shane said death match was pretty good. He said he really liked Hangman's new look and theme. So it refreshed him in his opinion.
Yeah, I think it was the right move. That hopefully Mox will take his vacation. He was supposed to take a 6-week vacation before the CM Punk thing happened. Hopefully he'll take his vacation, and I think they got Hangman over. So I think they're moving in the right direction.
And Kevin Mitchell said the bleeding is nothing like it used to be. It's not important like it used to be.
No,
that's
I agree with that.
Well, but in that Iron Man match, I thought the blood looked great on them guys because they looked so sweaty and tired, and there was blood on their body. You know, blood.
That kind of match makes sense.
Yes, it really did. It really did.
But when you're just bleeding the bleeding, no.
The death match, I think it would have meant more, but they was bleeding. Somebody even had a clock on it. He was bleeding before 4 minutes. It was 3:41. John Moxley was bleeding. But Moxley's match was a good match too. I'm not putting it down.
Moxley's good. So
I thought it was a good show, but the Iron Man match is great.
Mom's not a fan.
No, my wife was watching AEW and she's not a fan. She's not a fan.
She's not a fan at all.
So you think Moxley's career is better now that he's in AEW or while he was in WWE?
I know he's happier.
Yeah.
And he's making good money, and I think he's probably better because he's more free to do what he wants to do. He wants to bleed. He wants to bleed.
I'm not gonna lie.
He wants to do death matches.
I miss him. I miss Dean Ambrose. So I really liked the Ambrose and WWE.
I did too. So, but I mean, he just wanted to be able to do what he wanted to do, and WWE, and even Bryan Danielson said when he was Daniel Bryan, the main reason he left WWE, he told Vince, "I want to bleed," and he said that's one thing I can't let you do. I can't let you do it on TV. I can't do it. They had worked out a deal, I think, for him to go to Japan and wrestle. They was trying their best to let him go wrestle Japan, and then he still AEW said they would let him wrestle in Japan, and I think they went back on their deal because they're afraid to get hurt.
Well, that could be.
So,
yeah, I agree, Jake. He said he's a damn good wrestler, but don't need to bleed almost every match.
And, a lot of people said back in the 70s, they bled a lot more, and they probably did. And that could be the thing. When you're used to watching PG WWE with no blood, now you got AEW and they're bleeding every week. It probably is kind of a shock to the system a little bit too. I mean, to be fair. Well, he's definitely.
Oh yeah, he's definitely happier.
He's definitely happier, and I think he's pretty well over there. I mean, I think he was pretty well over in WWE too, though. I mean, but yeah, I think he's doing well. All right, guys, you guys ready to get into this greatest heels?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm ready. Mark, you want to go first?
I can. It ended up being 15 different people.
Okay.
So I got them from everywhere. What I had done is I thought I had dropped the question to 10. It ended up that I dropped it to 12. And everybody got back with me within an hour, which amazed me. And then I was watching Vinny's Twitch feed Friday night. And I got Vinny's, Tommy Gage's, and I don't know what the guy's name is. He never told me, but one of the guys in the chat give his three too. I have no idea who it is, but I got them wrote down as well. So
okay, cool.
All right, so we all know Rob Pugh, super fan Rob Pugh.
Yep.
Plays Santa, and he's old school like we are, Tony. He had Mad Dog Vachon, which I never even thought of that, but he's right.
Yep.
Baron Von Raschke and Abdullah the Butcher. And Abdullah the Butcher is on my list.
See, I got Baron.
My list is Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody, and Piper, and I know they're like all in different categories. And then if you want to go far enough, the Sheik, because the Sheik was a villain as well.
The original Sheik?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my 4+1. Because, you give me a 3, I'll give you a 10. But
yeah.
Cecil Cerveza, Ric Flair, Harley Race, and Triple H. That was his 3.
Okay.
Superfan Sam Mitchell, who's with the Hoosier Wrestling Alliance. He had Randy Orton, Edge, and Y2J. Or Chris Jericho, however you want to do it. I have it rolled down as Y2J because it was easy for me to write it down.
Yeah.
My good friend and superfan Roger Moore. Get this. King Kong Bundy, IRS, Brutus Beefcake, and he gave me a 4th one, Rick Rude. And I had Rick Rude. A lot of people said Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Kevin Mitchell, superfan Kevin Mitchell, who was watching a minute ago. He had Roddy Piper, which is on my list. He had Ole Anderson. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And Kevin Sullivan.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Most wanted Ricky Guns. MJF.
Kevin said still here.
Good to see you, Kevin. He had MJF, Y2J, and he had Seth Rollins. Tyler Scott, who we seen yesterday. He had Randy Orton, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and Shawn Michaels. Shooting with Shane. He had Rick Rude as well. And he had Hollywood Hogan. And then he had, I don't know if you needed to put them in 2 different categories, but they kind of could be Razor Ramon / Scott Hall because they were both heels in different ways. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin Mitchell's a big Ole Anderson fan.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Ole
And
was.
if anybody's out there, he's trying to find Ole Anderson action figures. We don't even know if they make them. So if anybody has a lead on anything like that, get with Kevin Mitchell because he's really trying hard. And I can't find any. I don't think he can either. So we don't even know they made them. If not, we don't know.
There's a Greg Gagne was on Busted Open and was talking about this company that he was involved with, making a lot of old time figures. I wish I could remember the name of the company because he was talking about they were making Bruiser Brody, Greg Gagne, Vern Gagne, making a lot.
No, I know what that group is because they just dropped 6, and I think they already had 6 out. Because I think Stan Hansen was one of them.
I think so.
Yeah. But okay, they don't. So if anybody has a lead on Ole Anderson action figures or decent looking NWA action figure belts, I mean, not those cheap looking because he's finding them, but they're just really bad looking.
Okay.
Get with Kevin and help him out there if you could. Justin Danger, I've been waiting on you.
Oh, what's up, Justin?
Hey, man.
They have WCW figures, but only of Arn Anderson.
You know, every time I Google Ole, I do it about once a week.
Arn looks like Ole laughing out loud.
Well, the main thing maybe look for some Horseman ones with Ole in it.
But the thing is, most people don't keep Ole in that category for some reason. They put Barry Windham in his spot.
But he was the original, and then it was Lex Luger, and then Barry Windham.
Yeah, and Barry Windham's the one who went in the Hall of Fame.
He's the one who went in the Hall of Fame because they didn't want Luger, and I think Ole and all them guys hate each other. So
yeah, well, Ole hates everybody. They hate him, so
yeah,
which makes him the heel. So because everybody pissed off at him, just not the fans.
Yep.
You know, Nick Bockwinkel was a good heel as a scientific heel. That's a good point. He had his own way of being a heel.
Yep.
And he was one of those guys that didn't scream. Like, you know, I watched that Jake the Snake. And you know how he never screamed in a promo? Nick Bockwinkel never did either. He says he as a horseman.
Yep.
I just thought of one while I was doing it. Have you already did all your list?
No, shoot, no. I got all night to get these in there.
Yeah, I just thought of one that just came to my head that I forgot about. Paul Orndorff.
Yes.
Man, he was a good heel.
And he never made any of the list, which kind of surprised me.
Billy said, look up Big Bad Toy Store when you get a chance.
Kevin, did you get that?
Big Bad Toy Store.
Big Bad Toy Store. I asked a guy out in New Jersey that runs a wrestling superstore is what it's called. He's got action figures, magazines, VHS tapes. That's all his whole store is, and he has autograph signings all the time. But he said that they don't have Ole Anderson figures out there, so we're not even sure they're out there.
And Kevin said yes.
Yeah, he did try it.
Kevin said yes, that he heard it, and he said thank you. So hopefully maybe that toy store will be able to get him what he's looking for.
Might check on Amazon, and it may be a deal where you may have to buy, because people put stuff online and they'll be selling wrestler figures, and there may be 20 or 30. Yeah, he may be able to find Ole in a set.
And then you pay $500 and you got all these Hogan.
Yeah, they pay a lot of money for it.
You ever look at some of that stuff? It kills me. You got 42 Adrian Adonises, and so.
How many did Austin have at one time? Probably 100, 150?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Oh, well, if I look at my collection, which we can't get to, but
I got
them. Yep. I got a bunch of them, too. I mean, I know I got a bunch of them. I just don't know what.
I don't think he has an Ole Anderson, but he does know he still has a bunch of them.
I'm sure Ole was made. That's why we can't find him. So
he still and Austin still buys them sometimes.
Old school wrestling figures. Wally Litz Flea Market.
All right, Kevin, if you get with Shane, he can help you with that contact.
When I get off the show, I'm gonna start looking.
Yeah, please do. Kevin would appreciate it if anybody could find him something. So
Jake said need a Jake Elliott figure, laughing out loud.
They're about as rare to come by as an Ole Anderson, I've heard.
You said you have more on your list?
Yeah, I got a lot more.
Okay.
Chris Chaos, Bubba Ray Dudley from ECW days.
Okay.
He made sure that we put that. Jerry Lawler in the 90s and MJF, which comes up a bunch with he's on here a ton of times.
Well, he's really, I mean, he is a really good heel. I mean, he really is. I think it's too soon to put MJF as one of the all time, but he is.
Yeah, he is real good.
But he is heading that way real quick.
Yeah, Shane says, shoot me a message, Kevin, and I'll get you in contact for sure.
All right. Super fan Bruce McGar. He had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Triple H. He had Hogan, so I'm assuming it's Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
And then he put a little side note, which I thought was really good. He put Kurt Hennig for putting over faces. That Kurt Hennig was very good at being a heel to make the face look good. And I thought that was a good point.
Yep.
Because he did take on, Hogan, Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. I mean,
yeah, because he came in, was undefeated for a long time, and he changed over to the guy that, put over the guys, So,
well, you seen when the Texas Tornado beat him for that Intercontinental belt.
Yep.
And did that, the Texas Tornado and hit him, and that he must have spun 3 times before he hit the ground.
Yeah.
There's one name I'm hoping pops up between you three.
I wonder if it's Justin Danger. Or not Justin Danger, sorry. Justin Myers. Justin Danger is good too.
Kevin Mitchell said, talking to Shane, I sure will. And then Kevin also says, don't forget Macho Man or King Macho Man. He was a great heel too.
And speaking of Justin Danger, he was next on the list. He had Piper, of course, which was on my list. Brody, King Kong Brody, he was on my list as well. And, Bruiser Brody. He was King Kong Brody in Indiana because Dick the Bruiser was here, so they couldn't have 2 Bruiser guys. So, and he had MJF. And then Jake Elliott, who's on here, he had MJF, but he had Eddie Guerrero. I think he's the only one that had Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie was a really good heel too.
Yeah, he was.
And then Ric Flair. And then from Friday night's Twitch, Vinny Vachetti had Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and Rick Rude. Then Tommy Gage went a little different way. He had Jake the Snake, Bobby Heenan. Now, you ready for this name? Playboy Buddy Rose.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And then the guy that was in Vinny's chat. Okay, now this is even better, too. He had Sid Vicious, Scott Steiner, MJF, and then he made a point about Gorgeous George probably being one of the original heels.
Yep.
And I have no idea who this guy is, but he was in Vinny's chat on Friday, so I just went ahead and wrote him down. So that's who I had for my people I contacted. So,
okay. Real quick, I'm gonna do a couple of lists. I looked at some things. I looked at Ranker, and they did a top 15. We'll see what you guys think of this list. Their number 15 guy was Savage. 14 was Mr. Perfect. 13 was The Miz. 12 was Rick Rude. 11 was Shawn Michaels. 10 was Paul Heyman. 9 was Bobby Heenan. Their 8th guy was Ted DiBiase. 7 was Edge. 6 was Piper. 5 was Jericho. 4 was Triple H. 3 was Randy Orton. 2 was Ric Flair. And 1 was Vince McMahon.
Okay.
That was Ranker's 50. Now here's the WWE's greatest list. They did a 50. I didn't do all 50.
Because I got a video on 50, so it's pretty good.
I just did their top 10. Randy Orton was 10, Jericho 9, Triple H 8, Flair 7, Iron Sheik 6, Rick Rude 5th. 4 was DiBiase, 3 Piper, 2 McMahon, and 1 was Macho Man Randy Savage. That was the WWE's list.
Yeah, I agree with all those lists except for Miz. I don't think I think they could have had another one in there in his place, but
The thing that shocked me on both those lists, and I told Chris this, no Jake the Snake Roberts.
yeah, that surprised me too. And in fact, out of everybody I had, only one person put Jake the Snake. I think it was Tommy Gage.
And I made a list up because growing up in the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s, I think you agree with this. There were so many good heel tag teams. So I put a list together of tag teams that was heels. And a lot was because I grew up seeing them. The Blackjacks was one immediately.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a great heel. And I had the Vachons down. I had the
Mad
Vachons.
Dog and Buzz.
I had Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis. Also Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes. I seen them more together. They were more faces, but they were big time heels. The Bruiser and Crusher were in the 60s, 50s, and 60s were notorious heels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's before Bruiser ever became a babyface. He was a big time, one of the biggest heels in wrestling. Of course, the Freebirds, their heel work in Texas.
Justin Danger was talking about Terry Gordy just the other day.
The Wild Samoans, Mr. Fuji, and Professor Tanaka.
See, we always known them guys as managers, but those guys were established wrestlers before they were managers.
Yeah, big time. Midnight Express. I had Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens.
Ray Stevens, yeah.
Yeah, but Stevens was a beast. The Valiant brothers.
Mm-hmm.
The big time heel tag team in WWE and especially in Bruiser's territory also.
Yeah.
Danger said Iron Sheik was really one of the most hated.
If you ever watched the Hall of Fame, the first one where they induct the Valiants, one of them Valiant brothers even recognized Bruiser as being part of his success.
Yep. And then I did a top 10 list of my own, and it ended up being 11 because I couldn't.
Tyler,
I
got the right hand to do it.
I couldn't get it down. But my list, my number 10 for me was the Blackjacks. I put some tag teams in there because it was what I grew up with.
Right.
9 was Superstar Billy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
8 was Rick Rude. 7 was Randy Savage. 6 was Ric Flair. 5 was the Freebirds. 4 was the original Sheik because he scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I mean, growing up, he was just vicious.
Yeah, I remember my grandma talking about
that. 3, Ted DiBiase. 2 was Jake the Snake Roberts. And my number 1, I had 2 people. I couldn't pick between the 2, which I've said Roddy Piper was one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Roddy Piper and Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just fantastic heels, man. And I don't think Heenan was ever a good guy that I can recall.
I don't remember him. No, even when he was commentating, he wasn't a good guy.
Not kind of just a little bit, but not really. But that was my list of my top 10.
Guys, ones I had was Jake Roberts, Piper, Flair, Savage, Mr. Perfect, Stone Cold, and then Paul Heyman as well.
Yeah, that's real good too. He's good too. Yeah.
I was surprised more people didn't say Jericho.
It gets hard for me when we get into the 2000s because heels became cool.
Yeah, because Stone Cold was a heel, but was he?
Yeah, so they became cool to like the heels. Back in the day, you didn't like the heels. I mean, the Blackjacks and the you hated the heels.
Did you ever hear the story why Jake Snake and Hogan never wrestled each other? Because Jake the Snake was the heel, and if they put him against Hogan, they were afraid he would be cheered, and they did not want that. That's why you've never seen a Hogan Jake the Snake match.
Yep. Or
they ever did run a storyline with the two because they didn't want Jake the Snake to become a face against Hogan.
Well, I know Jake was supposed to get a title run, and he blames Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And that for whatever reason, I forget the circumstances, but put the stop to it. And I know he hated Warrior for that. Did see a thing yesterday, Jake the Snake and his ex-wife got back together.
Which one?
the one that was
Cheryl?
was on TV with him back in the day. They reconciled and are back together after many, many years apart.
Hey, I'll tell you that Jake the Snake. I've seen a lot of Jake the Snake documentaries, but that one that was just on last week has got to be the darkest storytelling I've ever heard him do.
Yep.
And for being a WWE production, that just amazes me that he didn't touch base harder on something in another interview somewhere that WWE put that out.
Yeah, he said that he was thrilled because they let him do it the way he wanted to do it. Because he said he wanted it to be dark, he wanted it to be true. He said he told the truth and he wanted to help people, and he was just thrilled with it.
You got a good point there, Dalton.
There's no love for Andy Kaufman. Bummer again.
Well, Andy Kaufman was a good heel.
See, now it was weird that Jake the Snake. I'm sure you've seen extra ones too. He never brought up the sister that was brutally murdered, and they didn't have no idea what happened to her. He didn't bring it up in this one, but he brought up the molestation and stuff. So it was kind of surprised they didn't bring up the brutal murder of his sister.
Kevin said on Jake's podcast, Jake said he gave Hogan a DDT, and the fans chanted DDT, and Vince told him he's screwed.
Yeah, well, I know he said that's why they didn't have him wrestle because.
Yeah, Kevin said, listen to Jake's podcast. It is great. I'll have to check that out. I bet it'd be great. Because like I said, I got to sit down and talk to him for like 45 minutes one night. I can just imagine him with a microphone.
Oh, yeah. Well,
saying what he wants, anything he wants to say.
Well, they brought up Rockin' Robin in this one, but did they bring up Sam Houston?
No, and Sam Houston wasn't even on it. Yeah, I was surprised about that too. Now that you said that.
Yeah, because Sam Houston was his brother also. Yeah. Now they had Rockin' Robin on there, and I thought it was really cool that they had the daughter on there who still has nothing to do with him. I mean, that's how truthful it was. He said
she was in that video. What is it called? Beyond the Mat.
Yep.
She was the bigger girl.
Yep.
Yeah, and now that's the same girl that was in that movie.
See that Jake's going to be here for the Days of the Dead convention.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was Jerry Lawler.
What? Oh, this?
Yeah, Jerry Lawler. Yeah, you got to admit though, Dalton's right. Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah,
he could stir the shit. I mean, for somebody to come in and do what he did.
He was that way all the time.
I know Jim Cornette wasn't a wrestler, but he was also a great heel.
Yeah, Cornette was a great heel also. Yeah, I mean he could get people.
People still hate him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well yeah.
Because he doesn't have an off switch.
No,
he gets started. He just keeps going. So,
if you haven't listened to any of his podcasts,
I do.
It's a great one to listen to as well.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. The Jake the Snake Roberts is one of the best.
That's cool, Kevin. Yeah, hey, Jake was a good dude. I got to sit down and talk to him, and he was cool.
That's back when he was.
And yeah, that was. I mean, that's been
still pretty messed up.
That's been probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, when I seen him, it was shortly after the Beyond the Mat come out, so you can just imagine what kind of shape he was in then.
That was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. I thought it was really truthful, really well
how deep it was. I like, man, I can't believe WWE put this out being as deep as it was.
I watched the China one last night. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, I'll watch it when we get off here. So
it was pretty rough.
You watched it? Would you watch it after the pay-per-view?
I watched it. I was up to about 3 a.m.
Oh, would you go in your bedroom watch it?
Yeah, in the bedroom watch it. But your mom was watching because she was a huge China fan. So she wanted to watch it.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I haven't watched it. I need to watch all of Jake's. I've watched quite a bit of it, but I missed a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't want no help, and then the people that got involved with her last couple of years just took advantage of her, and instead of helping her, just made things worse.
Yeah, one of the very last show appearances she made in Indiana was for Rob Kincaid's show. I mean, Kevin can tell you he was there for that, and so he got to see China, within the last year of her life, I'm guessing.
Well, she wrestled, I think it was Masato Chano in Japan in 2001 or 2, and was huge over there, in front of 60,000 people in Tokyo Dome. And I didn't know that. And I didn't know if you knew that or not. But I wasn't. And they showed the match, and he beat the crap out of her. I mean, she was bruised up, and she did that match, and she never went back. I mean, I don't think she hardly wrestled. And that's the thing. Said Foley said if she would have been could have stayed on the straight, she could have made a ton of money on the independents, and she never did the independents.
Well, I think she did. Well, like I said, she was in Indy for the.
I don't think
she
did
wasn't wrestling. I think it was an autograph signing. I don't think she was. Was she working, Justin? Kevin, do you know? I mean, you'll know. I think she was just an autograph. I don't think she did ring time. But Justin Danger said he was at that show too.
Okay.
It was one of those. Rob Kincaid always put them on like the Thanksgiving night, and then I always had to be up early on Friday, so I never made it to any of those. Because he used to book a lot of talent. He had that same night. I know he had Billy Gunn, and I'm thinking I don't remember who was all on it, but he'd bring him in. It was just I couldn't do it because I had to be up so early the next day.
Yeah, he said just autographs.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I heard.
No picture. And no picture and autograph. Okay.
They didn't let you photograph with her?
I think he's saying
I see. Yeah.
No wrestling picture. No.
Yeah, pictures and autographs. Okay.
I believe. But yeah, it was pretty. The second half of the show was pretty. I mean, because it goes into all the drug abuse and this everything. It was pretty dark.
Kevin said he got a picture with her.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen that, and I knew we talked about it at one time. Me and Kevin did. So.
And I heard that she says that she got ran out because of Stephanie McMahon. I know some of the people that was
yeah, I heard that
close to her said it wasn't true. Said that she wanted $1 million a year and they weren't going to pay her $1 million a year, and she left.
Well, I'm sure the rumors with Stephanie McMahon is because Triple H was with China before Stephanie.
And some of that could be true too. It's hard to say, but if she wanted $1 million a year, I could see Vince not at that time, especially they weren't going to pay women 2001, 2002 $1 million a year.
Well, she's one of the better talent for ladies. I mean, she won the Intercontinental belt, and
well, she broke a lot of ground for women's wrestling.
She really did. Work, yeah. I don't think Sable could work, but
no,
China could work. So
actually, Sable did better than I thought she would. But yeah, she couldn't work. But I think she tried. Took some kickboxing and stuff. She tried. She did better than what I thought she would do. But she was eye candy. I mean, that's what she was there.
Oh, definitely.
Oh shit!
We'll do a close up.
I guess I don't know what the hell I was doing.
No, if you read that I knew that story. If he wanted to tell it, I'd let him tell it.
All right, Kevin said trying to cry kind of when I asked for an autograph and told her not on Playboy. She's more than just a naked picture. That was one of the top selling Playboys.
Yeah, well, it came out twice. She had two of them. It was really good.
They talked to X-Pac, and of course they got together, and he said he was in bad shape and she was in bad shape, and they got together and just both made each other worse.
And there's a adult video of them two floating around.
Yep.
So
and she did more. Yeah. They did it. They had it done, and she did more. She actually did the porn version of She-Hulk for one of the porn companies. So she did more porn movies to make money to get drugs. Her life fell in a black hole very quickly.
It can happen. It can happen quick. See, the sad part is you see it happen to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Especially like.
Yeah, well, I don't think Sherry Martel did porn, but she's the same way.
No.
And Elizabeth and Luna.
Yeah, Elizabeth was a big shock. To see what she, how she was represented on TV, and then the life she ended up into and how she died, just horrible. I didn't expect that. I know a lot of people will never forgive Luger. Everybody blames Luger, which I mean, I don't know if it was all his fault or.
Well, I think it takes two to tango.
Yep.
And it all being his fault. He's just taking the blame because he's the one here.
Marcus, who do you think the most violent heel was?
Brody. In my time that I've seen Brody. Sheik, I'd like to know. I don't know if Sheik and Brody in prime, how they would do. It'd be nasty.
Yes.
Well, also Abdullah the Butcher. I'm going to go Brody and Butcher. Abdullah.
Yeah, but Abdullah and Sheik had some bloodbaths, man. They both get them metal rods or forks and just dig.
I guess I'll go with Abdullah because he always had a fork on him.
Yep.
You talk about blood. He lived for his blood. He'd bust beer bottles if he didn't have his fork to get blood. So,
dude, I ain't let somebody stab me with the fucking fork.
They did that last night. Moxley was stabbing Hangman with a fork.
Yeah, in the forehead with a fork.
I think that ECW show, it was C.W. Anderson. You remember him? They were trying to portray him as a Anderson brother, and I think it was Sandman. Might have been New Jack. Anyway, one of them took a fork or C.W. Anderson to him right there in the forehead. And then you see 4 tongs where he poked it, and they're all just bleeding separately.
Yeah,
I think it was New Jack and C.W. Anderson.
A lot of people like New Jack, and I'm not saying I don't like New Jack, but I'm gonna say something, and they're probably gonna get mad. Dude was a criminal.
Oh yeah, he passed away like last year.
Yeah, I know, but he.
Oh yeah, you ever listen to his stuff?
But he had that young kid who showed up with another guy, and the dude wasn't even of age. Ended up on a show, and
mass transit.
New Jack knew that the kid didn't belong, and he went out of his way. He pulled out a damn switchblade and just cut that dude. Dude had to have like 70 or 80 stitches, and then to find out the kid wasn't even 18 years old.
Yeah,
it was nuts. And he would do stuff, and he threw that dude off at one scaffolding one time.
What was that guy's name?
I can't remember who he threw off there.
Vic Anderson.
It may have been. Somebody out there might know, but yeah, he threw that one dude off that scaffolding. He tried to kill him.
Oh, yeah, because that guy backed out of a spot, and he ended up hurting New Jack really bad. So that was his retaliation.
Oh, it was retaliation. Got him up there and just threw him off.
But I didn't know New Jack had worked for
Justice's Grimes.
Smoky Mountain. And I guess that you talk about racial stuff. Yeah, Grimes.
I think it's Vic Grimes, if I remember right.
Yeah. And when I seen some of that stuff with New Jack and Smoky Mountain and some of the stuff he was saying, that's where I needed to go for a riot. Because, boy, was he rough.
Yeah, that was with Cornette's group.
Yeah, that amazes me. Cornette had him, but man, I never knew that. And then I went back to watch something else. It's like that comment that was made yesterday about O.J. Simpson. This is what Hagley had said about O.J. Simpson. This is what he did to his wife. And I looked over at you. I looked over at Tony. You're looking at me like, Lord.
That's bad, but he ain't gonna top the king.
No. Yeah. I don't. It's hard to even repeat what the king said.
No, I wouldn't do that. No. That's better to leave that to people who witnessed it and let it be.
Yeah, I don't want to be called to the stand.
Oh, I was gonna say you don't. I have a feeling you can. Yeah, you don't want to go there.
No, somebody make a clip as I was saying that.
Yeah,
that's what I said. You want to keep that to yourself. So
yeah, exactly. Look what this guy in Indiana said.
Oh, I'll never forget that, because I looked at you. We both looked at each other like, he didn't just say that, did he?
Yeah, he did. Well, before that,
and then I told Mike King sat down. I said, "Did you hear what he said?"
Before that, when he walked out, he walked towards the bleachers, and I'm not even gonna go into context, but I thought he was gonna say something.
Yeah, that's
really bad, and I was worried because I was afraid we wouldn't get out of there alive if he was, because just the way he looked, and I think it came to his mind to say something, and he did filter himself there. I will give him credit there, because if he had said, I think what was on his mind, we may not have made it out of that part.
when we get some time, I cannot repeat this story on air, but I talked to Scrubbies Saturday, and he told me some stories but I can't do it here. Same reason.
Yeah, I understand.
He said Vic Grimes injured New Jack a year earlier.
Yeah, that's where because he was getting ready to go, and then he said, "I can't do it," and it's like then they kind of fell more than they did the spot. And
He said, "How's this? I want your guys' opinion. Lashley and Lesnar as a tag team."
It would be good.
Yeah, if you can keep them on the same page,
Yeah. I think
they got the right look.
the rumor is Lesnar's on his way out.
I like it. I like Sheamus and McIntyre together.
Oh yeah, I do too. I think the rumor is Lesnar's going to do this deal with Omos, and he may go off to the sunset. It may be done. I heard that they wanted him to work Bray Wyatt, and he refused.
Who's this? Omos or?
Yeah, no, they wanted the Brock Lesnar to work Bray Wyatt, and he refused, and that's the rumor that he refused, and there's an issue there, so that's why he's working Omos. Now I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think it would be interesting. Yeah, if you put them two together and they take on, I think Wyatt's got to speed up his group. If he's really got a Wyatt 6 and he's got 6 people, they've got to get that together. Because they've took too long. I like long-term storytelling, but they've went too slow.
Story hasn't even got started.
Yeah.
From yesterday, I think Jordan Dye and Sage Phillips now on a tag. They have the same look, the same build. I think they could be an interesting tag team if they could put them two together.
Yeah, they could. And that, again, going back to that was a great match, man.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah, I've been laughing about the Jeremy Halley thing all day, though. He picked up that cookbook, says, "Here's the recipe for kicking your ass." It's like,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that.
This is Betty Crocker. That's what he said. This is from Betty Crocker.
Betty Crocker, recipe to kick your ass. Billy Buzz said, "OJ didn't kill no one." Laugh out loud.
Well, he wasn't convicted.
He wasn't convicted of killing anybody.
Oh man, we better get on a different topic. This shows we'll go sideways.
Yeah, we could go sideways. Yeah, we better.
We'll go back to heels. I think that's what we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah. Well, OJ was a pretty good heel.
Yeah. Wrestling heels.
Okay,
that was the topic.
Oh,
well, I say
you brought up Paul Orndorff earlier too.
Yeah, that was one
for him and Piper. Then WrestleMania 1 never would have happened.
And they also said not only Orndorff was a great heel, they said he was one tough son of a gun. They said he was one mean dude.
Tell you somebody, I wouldn't put, you can't put like greatest yet, but somebody that's working their way that way, and a lot of people don't like it, but Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I agree.
No, yeah, he's a good heel. It's just
he's very, very good. One that was one.
And I'm not a big Roman fan, but he is a good heel.
Here's a name you think should have been mentioned: Vader.
Yeah. When we was talking, me and Justin, he asked me about Gordy. Tell me what you think about Gordy as a heel. Terry Gordy.
Yeah, Terry Bam Bam Gordy was a great heel too, and been in the free. But the problem is that when you think most people think Gordy, they think the Freebirds. I mean, I know he had stuff with Stan Hansen and had some good single stuff too. But and Dr. Death, him and Dr. Death was a good tag.
That's what I brought up to Justin. I thought I liked him as him and Dr. Death, and he did some of them death matches with Mick Foley over there in Japan. I don't know if you knew that, but and then Justin had posted a video of Gordy taking on Brody, and it's like Gordy and Brody, they work well together because
well, the build and their style.
Yeah. And the one he showed, they were just laying out on each other. It's like, and I forgot about Stan Hansen, but yeah, that's another one of them big
tough
early fellas that, yeah.
Well, them guys made so much money in Japan. Hansen, Brody, Vader. They made
Gordy,
Gordy made tons. Dr. Death. They made tons of money because they love big guys, big tough guys. They love that. Hogan made a lot of money over there.
And Hogan's work ethic in Japan was a lot. He could work.
Yeah, he could.
But it was so different in Japan. He actually looked like a wrestler, not a gimmick. If you know what I'm saying, his Hogan persona in the States is a lot different than it was in Japan. Which three? Brody, Gordy, and Stan Hansen, or Vader?
Or Dr. Death. I don't think he was talking about Dr. Death. See, that's a group that I really loved, and it never went as far as I thought it could have. And that was the Varsity Club with Sullivan and Dr. Death, Rotundo, Steiner, Rick Steiner, and I really like that group. Hansen,
yeah. You remember the Samoan SWAT team? I think one of those was it Rikishi? Part of that Samoan SWAT team.
Yeah, they were with Heyman, and they were with Heyman and NWA or WCW, and then they went to. They've been with Heyman forever.
Yeah, there's a Clash of the Champions that had the Samoan SWAT team taking on Gordy and Dr. Death.
Yep.
So talk about more big guys.
Yeah, I watched that not too long ago. I really enjoyed the Clash of Champions.
I did too. Those used to be for one, they were free.
Yep.
And I got a lot of them on VHS tape.
Well, some of them were better than the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
They really were.
Well, I agree. You got more storyline out of a Clash, I think, than you did. Because somebody was talking. Who was it? May have been one of your guys you just interviewed. About all the stuff that WCW had. You had like 5 or 6 different programs every week.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought you got more out of the Clash of the Champions.
It was Damien, I think, was talking about that.
Yeah.
Well, I remember because I used to do it too. They had Saturday night, Sunday morning. You had Thunder.
Well, we got a local station. Channel 4 had one. Then we had another one that came on. It was Channel 23, but I can't remember the letters. But they started running in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon here in Muncie. So we had shows in the afternoon, like at 5 o'clock, 5 days a week, WCW stuff. And so, I mean, I was watching all kinds of wrestling.
Yeah, I was too back in the day. I don't watch much TV wrestling anymore, but boy, I did.
And Saturday night main event was awesome.
Yeah, I had most of them on VHS too.
I remember watching the Saturday night main event growing up.
And they did at one point, especially when it first started, they did killer ratings, man. There was 9, 10, 11 people, 9, 10, 11 million people watching those at midnight on Saturday nights.
Yep. Yeah, I'd stay up to watch it. And then I'm like you, Tony. I'd watch it 4 times probably within the weekend before I went back to school on Monday. Because I was a senior in high school, junior in high school, senior in high school, and those first came out.
Yep.
See, that's the way I was, Justin. It was WCW was sold to WWE. That's about where it started. But then that's when my independent stuff started, because then I started hitting the independents really bit. I didn't need to watch it off TV. I was watching it live every week anyway. But
now I watch a lot of the independent stuff, but I've been watching Raw and SmackDown here more lately. But usually I'd watch pay-per-views of that stuff, but mainly the independent stuff, especially since we started doing the shows and stuff. Because I'll watch match. People tell me, "Hey, go watch this match. Watch this match."
Yeah, I get that too. We got invited to 3 different shows in Jeffersonville on Saturday. We had people walking up. It's like, we'll have to see. Calendar's filling up.
See, Kevin Sullivan was a great heel, especially in his work in Florida with Dusty. It was probably ahead of its time. That's when first woman first came in. She was called Fallen Angel.
Scientifically, Kevin Sullivan was good.
Yeah,
I didn't like the devil gimmick. I didn't care for purple haze when he had purple haze and all that. But But as an actual mat technician, people will praise him up and down, and he is good. Still is. I mean, I guess he's training where he trains, but it was just that gimmick of that devilish. I didn't care for that, but he had a big feud with Dusty Rhodes, if I remember right. Did he not?
Oh yeah, a few. And then he had they tried a few with Hogan and WCW early on when Hogan came in. It just really didn't.
Yeah, he has a great mind. That's absolutely correct.
Didn't pan out like they wanted.
And didn't Kevin Sullivan start using Luna before Luna become Luna here, if I remember right? It's like a secretary or something. I'm trying to remember this story.
I'm thinking you're right.
Luna Fashion, and she's like his secretary or something. And he turned her to the dark side and shaved half her head. I'm trying to remember if that's what I seen.
That sounds right.
Sounds right. Justin says yes.
Yeah. I think it might have been on the dark side of the ring.
Yeah.
I think where I seen that. Because they had one of those episodes of Luna Vachon.
Yeah, that's one I've missed. I got to go back and watch that one.
I was kind of surprised more people didn't like, especially when you're talking WWE guys, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I had only one Seth Rollins.
He's a good. I
mean,
mean,
that was Ricky Guns.
I know he's still.
How about Randy Orton?
Yeah, Orton as well.
And Randy Orton, about 5 people had him.
Yeah, I mean Randy Orton. I mean, some of the things he's done.
Well, when he was taking out legends, that's what made him too.
Yep.
The legend killer, and
Yep.
And some of the stuff Edge did, too. Edge. But again, to me, it's hard for me to put them guys on the list because during that time it was cool to be the heel, and the guys I were thinking of were, they were heels.
She interviewed wrestlers. He hit her and shaved half head. Then she was possessed.
She's part of the Vachon family.
Yep.
Mad Dog and.
Well, she wrestled. Well, she wrestled there in Glow.
Yeah.
He said that was in Florida.
Yep, in Florida. Yep.
I just remember seeing Kevin Sullivan in the magazines back then.
Oh yeah.
Because that was before I seen any Florida stuff.
Yep.
And there was and he had Purple Haze. I remember that was one of his disciples or whatever you called him.
This is a little off topic, but Mark, what do you think if Magnum TA never gets hurt? You think he's a megastar?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I do too.
He would have beat Flair. It was in the works. He'd been the next world champion, just like David Von Erich would have been. And yeah, he would have been right up there with Harley Race. And
yeah, I think he would have went major. Probably end up in WWE. I think he would have been a huge star.
Yeah, I do too. So it was unfortunate what happened to him. I mean, talk about your career being done.
Yeah.
And he did some commentary, Missy Hyatt, with WCW, speaking of that, but he never really was.
Nah.
Do you think that if he would have became a big star like that and like Von Erich, do you think that would have affected how big Ric Flair was able to get?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. That was about what, 80?
Well, David died in 84.
Yep.
Magnum was hurt in 86.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have steered Flair a little different.
A little bit. But I mean, Flair started going down, what, about 90?
That's our topic next week, Justin. Not about Magnum TA, but people in general.
Yeah, they might have ruined them, but I mean, maybe not. I mean, he ruined some people, there's no doubt, but he also made some people big stars. So I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah,
because Magnum was good in the ring. I wouldn't say he was great. It was his charisma, his look. I think so. I don't know.
It's just like I was talking about Dr. Death and Hogan. It's just like I didn't see it, so it didn't happen. So it's kind of hard to picture, and especially since it's been 40 years ago now. So
yeah,
it's hard to really determine that.
anymore.
Yeah, he
Yes,
was.
some of them did. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good to go. So we had a couple of topics for next week. Marcus, what were they?
Let's see. Bad gimmicks. We're talking Outback Jack's one I remember. They pushed him for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then he was only here for like 6 months.
What was the one that Shockmaster? The one that's
Yeah,
the
that's
ultimate
another
one.
one. So
I
yeah, we're
mean,
going to do bad gimmicks. I call them here today, gone tomorrow.
Yep.
And then we're going to do the Red Rooster Awards, I guess is how we put it.
Yeah, the people that
Very
were
talented people who were very good stars that got ruined the minute they got the Vince McMahon. And just like Justin had said,
well, and let's even do people that
went the other way.
well, no, yeah, the people like it was in WC or it could have been WWE, but went somewhere else. And perfect example, Scott Hall
Kevin
and,
Nash, yeah.
and Kevin Nash. What was going on in WCW? They go WWE, and within 3 or 4 months, big stars.
Yeah,
So
and I kick myself still to this day, but who would have known? I was within 6 foot of Kevin Nash at one time at the Coliseum, but he was Vinny Vegas, so it wasn't a big deal at the time. If I had only known how far that guy would have gone.
let me ask you this:
All right, you're cutting
Hogan,
out.
if he never went to Hogan, if he never would have went to the WWE and stayed in AWA, do you think Gagne had enough vision to make him big?
Well, see, I don't know. He pinned Nick Bockwinkel for the title, and then they turned around and give it back to Bockwinkel. He was a big draw in AWA. I
Yes.
just think Vern wanted to hold him back.
I know
So-
I seen an interview and they were getting ready. Greg Gagne said this was just recent on Busted Open. They were getting ready to push him. They were getting ready to go with it, and Hogan left. I got a call from Vince, and he just never showed. He had dates, and it was supposed to show up, and he never showed
Well,
up.
then the Rocky
He said that's
III
what most
came up,
people
yeah.
did.
Yeah, because Rocky
He
3
said
came
the only
on
guy.
too, so.
Yep, yeah. He said the only guy that did it right, who didn't just didn't show back up, but it was Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan got a call from Vince, and Vince said, "Yes, I'm ready to go. I will do it." He said, "I've got 10 dates left with AEW. I'm going to finish my contract." And Vince said, "Well, no." And he said, "Again, I'm going to finish my contract. I'm going to finish my dates." And he said, "That's what he did." He said he called Vern, and he said he called Vern because he was afraid. Greg said he was afraid to go tell Vern in person because he's afraid that Vern was going to tie him in knots. But they said Vern was a pretty tough guy.
Yeah, I've heard that. I remember.
Yeah, and so said no. Vern respected him. Said, "Hey, I appreciate you being honest and telling me the truth." He finished his 10 dates, and then he went to work for WWE.
Yeah, 'cause if you remember, let's see if I can remember. You had Jesse Ventura and Adrian Adonis as the East-West connection. You had Jerry Blackwell and Kim Patera was tag champs.
Yep.
Well, so you had Adonis, Ventura, Kim Patera. They all jumped ship.
Yep.
And then Heenan, but he didn't jump ship like you said, but he went over.
Brian Blair, I think he was in AWA. He left. I don't know if he left before it folded or after. Well, Greg Gagne went to WWE, but he didn't. He didn't.
Well, but Greg Gagne, I think, was only pushed because he was because he was just the promoter's son. That's the way I've always looked at Greg Gagne. Yeah. And then if I'm wrong, that's my opinion. Yeah. I didn't think he had the talent. I just think he got pushed because he's daddy's son.
He wasn't terrible in the ring, but he didn't have the body.
He didn't have the look. Power, I didn't think.
Yeah, he didn't have the charisma. He just didn't. And Vern wasn't great charisma, but Vern was just so damn good in the ring.
If you remember, one time they even put Gagne with Sergeant Slaughter as one of Slaughter's. I don't know if you remember that. Slaughter was in the AWA. There's another one.
Yep, Slaughter left. Yep.
He was in the AWA and come up with this boot camp stuff, and Greg Gagne was one of his boot camp recruits. And then all of a sudden, Greg Gagne is showing up in camo crap.
There's a heel we forgot, Slaughter.
Yeah.
especially when he became that.
Well, even
Iranian.
before that.
Yeah, before that he was a pretty great heel too. Yeah, but then I mean, once he did that, there was people threatening to kill him.
Yeah, and George Steele was a good heel in the 70s as well before another heel.
Before he became a
Lou
cartoon.
Albano got him.
Yep.
But then Lou Albano was face because of Cyndi Lauper, and then it was Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
Where they turned on him, and now all of a sudden, then they do those hokey vignettes on Tuesday Night Titans.
Oh yeah.
Where you know what I'm talking about? Where they had that thing hooked to his head.
Did you ever watch him on Tuesday Night Titans?
I don't know.
You need to watch too. It was like a Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson, Vince
It
McMahon
was
host.
hokey stuff.
Yeah,
They
it was
do
stupid.
dumbest.
It was stupid. What's his name? Andre getting on there doing a
Fish dance.
Impersonation of a fish. There was some crazy stuff on there. Heenan just insulting everybody and saying stuff that there's no way he could get away with saying now.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch those. You want some good entertainment.
It's really good bad TV.
Yeah, and in the very first debut, they had Dr. D. David Schultz, and he's with his family just abusing the hell out of him verbally. And I guess it's another one of those people called up and says, hey, you need to get child welfare over there because this guy's being mean and nasty to his kids and won't feed them and throwing their food on the floor.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch him.
Yeah, you need to watch that. That stuff was stupid. But
and you had Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco, Fuji Vice. Instead of Miami Vice, it was called Fuji Vice. It was horrible.
It was terrible, but it was funny. No, I may watch somebody out here a little bit now that you said that.
Internet Geek. Yep, Freddie Blassie. Have you ever seen much of his Freddie Blassie's wrestling?
I've seen maybe 2 or 3 matches, and
I heard
he was a good heel too. I was told.
Yeah, I heard he was a beast.
I don't know if it was for real, but they said he used to sharpen his teeth.
Yeah, he would bite people,
and then he would sharpen his eye teeth so he can.
Yeah, he'd bite chunks out of people. He was a beast.
Long before Pogo ever started biting people, it was Freddie Blassie. Yeah, there's a bunch of them we forgot. I mean,
oh yeah, there's so many great heels. But I do think personally, of course, I'm older than dirt. The heels from the 70s and 80s were they were heels and they hardly ever went good.
Well, the business was more protected.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah,
their personas were true to life.
Yep.
Because nobody knew any different. Now they know more of the business that
definitely
kind of ruined that effect.
Yeah. Technology and the internet, it's helped the business in ways, but it's also hurt the business in ways as well.
Well, remember when they had that Captain Lou stuff, they had that big match, it was on MTV.
Well, I can tell you a story about the war to settle the score. I was a junior in high school, and we didn't have MTV, but it was on MTV, and it was also on the Madison Square Garden show. But anyway, a friend of mine taped it, brought it to school, and word got around that I had the tape from the night before from war to settle the score. So we're in chemistry class, my 6th grade class, and they're all hounding the teacher, and the teacher said, go get it. And he wheeled a VCR TV in, and we watched that in my chemistry class my senior year or my junior year of high school. We watched the war to settle the score in chemistry class. And that's what led up to WrestleMania, I think.
Yep.
Because that's when Paul Orndorff came out and teased in the audience, and they're getting ready to attack Cyndi Lauper, and Hogan's down, and T comes up to save her, and
because Piper threw her down pretty hard.
Yeah, Piper's a little nuts.
Yeah.
Well, he was, and before he turned face, when he come back to break up the flower shop that Adrian Adonis had, you couldn't have got a worse heel.
Yeah, well, that's one thing they said about Piper. Piper's wife said the only thing he ever had trouble with was when they asked him to do that to Cyndi Lauper. He did not believe in putting his hands on.
Well, and if you watch it now that you know the story, he kind of puts his foot under and kind of
Yeah, he
pushes her off. But
he had trouble with that. That's something he really didn't want to do. He did it. He said his wife said that's about the only thing he had trouble with. He said most stuff he didn't care, but that he didn't believe in putting your hands on women.
and he practiced a lot of those. I didn't know that. I thought he was just quick witted, and he told you, no, I'm not quick witted. I'd sit there and run storylines, and he'd have a notepad and start writing down his one liners, and got really good at presenting them, but he couldn't produce them like Bobby Heenan does.
Oh, he
did. And I think Bobby Heenan and Jerry Lawler put them on commentary. And you might as well hang it up the way those guys could outwit the other with comebacks. And
yeah, Heenan and Monsoon together was just, straight man and funny dude was just great.
Will you stop? It's like
yeah, that's why I watched what was that called? The show come up, Primetime Wrestling. It wasn't for the matches were okay. But it was for them too.
Yeah. Then they said, now we're going to the arena and watch. And basically it was a jobber versus a good or a superstar. But
sometimes you'll see, you'd see a Tito Santana against Greg Hammer Valentine, but a lot of times, like you said, it might be Greg Hammer Valentine against Specialty Delivery Jones,
Yeah.
Brooklyn Brawler.
Brooklyn Brawler.
Steve Lombardi. Yep. Who, if you ever went to Market Square Arena for a WWE house show, he was always in the first match or the first two. Every single one of them. It just depended on who he was taking on. And it was normally a guy that was getting ready to be a big shot.
Yeah. Well, we know who went in the main event. Not when we went. Hogan. Hogan never showed.
And that's weird because we've seen Hogan a dozen times, I bet.
We never had no luck.
No. Never no luck. Not with Hogan. We've seen about everybody else.
Yep. Seen a bunch of good ones. Had a good time. Well, I think we'll go ahead and end it for tonight, Chris. We'll go ahead and promote whatever. And I know, Marcus, you want to promote your hotline?
Yeah.
Marcus, hey, let me think. 4655. Diamond Dan's Pro Wrestling Hotline. 3 options. No, I don't think Diamond Dan's been updating option 1. I think that stuff's still from December. I'm on option number 2, Indie Wrestling from Indiana. And D-Rose, the dreaded D-Rose, reports on 3. He basically covers like what Tony did a little while ago. Current TV stuff, I guess you could say.
Yep.
317-3354-655 is the number. I update on, Sunday nights, Monday mornings for what I'd seen over the weekend, and then Thursdays I'd tell everybody where the wrestling's going to take place in Indiana for the upcoming. I've been plugging this show and what's going on here. And
so we see Iron Mike Sharp at high school matches.
See, now he was one of those guys that was a well-developed. He wasn't always a jobber. He main evented a lot too in the earlier days, and then he ended up becoming a guy that made the others look good. Intense.
Well, Playboy Buddy Rose. He was pretty good at one time, and then he kind of, as he got older, he in WWE he was more of a jobber.
The blowaway diet.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, I remember they would
play it all.
The dude weighed 350, 360, and they would announce he weighed 225.
Oh, no, they would announce he'd weigh 300 to 600 or whatever, but then he'd go over and says, no, that's not right. It's like Hallie said, no, I'm the champion. You will announce me. He'd go, I weigh at trim 234. And then again, it was another Tuesday Night Titans in the blowaway diet, because then he put all this powder on him and then turned the fat on it, blew the fat off. You got to watch Tuesday Night Titans, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you got to watch it. Yeah, you want to see, if you ever want to see some good, bad TV, Tuesday Night Titans. And this was aired on USA Network, I believe.
Every week.
Every week.
Oh, man.
Hey, you're laughing. You ought to watch it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
You're watching the Samoans eat raw chicken? And
yeah. They did. They was eating raw chickens.
Of course, Hogan come in there and did his blender full of, put all his crap in a blender, and of course his vitamins. He had these vitamin packs, and Mean Gene like, I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, do you remember they actually had a match with Mean Gene being his tag team partner?
Yeah.
Who did he take on?
They took on It was
Stud.
Stud. I don't think it was Bundy. I think it was Stud and
Wasn't Heenan, was it?
no, it was one of the tag teams with Adrian Adonis. Dick Murdoch. I think that's
Okay.
who it was.
Okay.
Stud and Dick Murdoch, I think. I think there might have been 3 for some reason. It might have only been 2. I have to go back and look. Because Gene tried to stay out of it, but then Hogan went over and they did high fives and stuff. And then the ref said, "Hey, you tagged in. Get him in here. Get him in here. You tagged in."
Thanks, Billy. Billy said he liked tonight's show, had fun. Said thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Today's Monday. We have an interview Wednesday. Glenn Richardson, he's a big wrestling fan, big sports fan. He'll be joining us on Wednesday. Then next Wednesday, the 15th, we have pro wrestler Tommy Gage. Will be joining us. He's getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Well, they haven't announced that yet.
Oh well,
well,
he might be.
Well, who they got? They got the Shadow. I remember Shadow.
We've heard rumors.
I heard some rumors.
We've also heard rumors he may be competing again.
Yeah, who's going in the Hall of Fame so far? Dr. Love, is that what his name was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dr. Love.
Dalton Love's dad, Dr. Love.
Yep.
Shadow, and I'm not familiar who that.
The Golden Gorilla.
Yeah, that's who's so far
I'm
going on.
not saying no more names that are supposed to go to the Hall of Fame because I'm gonna say a name I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, you probably hush.
Yeah.
March 24th in Muncie.
Yep.
Because I done messed that all up. Hey, it'd be all right.
Well, Tommy's announcing it too, so that's not like the big secret. But don't bring up any of those other names you said earlier.
Yeah, I won't bring up nothing.
You'll have Mike King knocking on your door like, "Hey guys."
Hey, what the hell?
Yeah, he'll be knocking on the door that won't be to do a show.
I wish we could air we had a phone call with Mike yesterday. I wish we could air that. We'd get great ratings, but we'd get canceled. And get some other people upset here in Muncie.
Yeah, there'd be.
But it was very hilarious. I was on a roll.
Yeah, Mike's fun.
Yeah, Mike's great.
Fun guy.
But please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo'S Sports Room and at the All Sports All Plays Network. Like, follow Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo'S Sports Room. That's where we post all the information about our shows. We have some more wrestling shows coming up here soon. We'll be putting stuff out about that. Like I said, we got the interviews Wednesday of this week, Wednesday of next week so far. Working on getting some other ones scheduled.
Yep.
Do you have anything?
We got a show tonight at 11.
Yeah, show tonight at 11. GSR Gonzo Sports Room. Come join us for that.
We're talking probably some Monday Night Raw for sure.
You guys gonna be where this next weekend?
Don't know yet. It depends if my wife lets me out of the house.
Say Friday night I'll be at the Dub. Saturday I'll be at NGW in Burnettsville. And Sunday I'll be in Danville, Illinois for New Version Wrestling.
Maybe you're going to a birthday party on the weekend, so I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we do have options. We may go to a show, so we'll try to announce for sure in the next couple of days.
Yep. And then the weekend after
I'll tell you, there is a ton. I've been working them up. I think there's at least 8 or 9 shows in Indiana on Saturday.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
And then on the 18th, we're going to New Era.
Yeah, New Era on the 18th.
Okay. The 18th, I'll be back in Jeffersonville for traditional championship wrestling.
Oh, I thought you was going to New Era.
Well, I was going to, but they really, I wouldn't say hound me, but I had about a dozen people want us back down there so bad. So originally was going to, but, well, look at it. And it's like me and Roger was talking. He's going to Emerge on Sunday or Saturday. He'll cover Emerge. I'll cover New Generation Wrestling.
Yep.
So you guys cover New Era, and I'll cover TCW. And
yep.
But yeah, originally was going to, but we had a deal come up down there, so a good opportunity, I guess you can say.
Oh yeah, well you'll get the New Era eventually.
Yeah, it's just like we won't be there for Kurt Angle because we got an opportunity in Frankfort, Kentucky. So
Yep.
Understand that.
Yep, I understand.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back next Monday for another episode of G.W.R. Gonzo's Wrestling Room. And What'd you say we was talking about?
Oh,
One time, or
Bad gimmicks
bad gimmicks.
and people who either had a bad gimmick and made it big, or the other way around, was big at one time and went to a bad gimmick. So
like the Red Rooster.
yeah, I was thinking Skinner as well.
Skinner, yep.
Because come on, you don't come out as a guy with the tuxedo then to be a guy hunting alligator. It just
Yeah.
Skinner.
I'm wondering what kind of money he was offered. See, I could go with that, but what kind of money was you offered to be in the limelight and then go to that kind of a gimmick?
Yeah, let me ask you this: did you consider the Bushwhackers in that? Because I mean, they were over. They were the sheep herders, and they were one of the bloodiest.
Very good heels.
Heels. They go there and they're kind of clowns, but they were over.
Well, I can't put them in that category because they were good doing both,
and they was making tons of money.
Yeah, I mean they're probably still making merchandise royalties.
Yeah, they're probably still getting merchandise.
I was a Bushwhackers fan.
If I remember, you and Jeff both had Bushwhacker hats. I'm
Kelly's a Bushwhacker fan.
Yep.
So yeah, you can't. I don't think you can put them in that category because they were good heel and what they did. And you could see them on Tuesday Night Titans doing crazy stuff too. So you need to watch that.
I'm going to watch that. And then also real quick, if you missed the Summit Pro yesterday, go check it out on our YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter pages at Gonzo Sports Room and at the All Sports All Plays Network.
Won't be disappointed.
Yeah, you got to watch that stuff. You outstanding show yesterday.
But we appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
Yep.